I knew it was going to happen. It's been a bit of a delay, but Aaron has returned after the ad read and after the open rolls. We will talk about the progress on the BC Brute art, and, well, he doesn't know it yet, but we'll talk about scripts for upcoming projects, so stay tuned. Whether it's your first time here or you're a regular here at Mr. Super Oz, I just want to thank you for tuning in to the channel. It exists because I, Oz, from the channel Mr. Super Oz, I wrote a 68-page graphic novel called Everlasting Survivors. Volume 1 is called All Day Long. If you follow the link in the description of this video, you can get yourself hats, shirts, posters, all kinds of fun things. But most importantly, you can get the story itself. And the more people that pick up the story, the greater the chances are that there can be continued adventures with these heroes. If you could, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave a comment, enjoy. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for bringing awesome art. I am so excited to see this, but you started to say every page.
So every page now of the BC Brute is blocked out, meaning the characters are already in their poses, the key art, everything has already been planned out. Now we just got to do the pretty bits, drawing in the details, the flesh, the muscles, the stuff that you guys really want to see.
Absolutely.
And then after that, it's just always the inking and coloring stage, which we kind of cheat because, technology makes it easier for us, but, that's our advantage in the 21st century.
Absolutely. And I will say this one thing that is different about this particular project than the one in the past for me is that the art was generated digitally to begin with, whereas in this particular one we are starting old school and working our way to the modern age, and so that means that there will be an additional step of figuring out how I'm going to get all these wonderfully awesome looking pages digital, so that when, like you said, inking and coloring comes, we have each stage of the process kept in its pristine form.
Yes.
Because while we are in a new place, we are also still human.
Yeah.
and so it's just it was a conversation we had off camera where it was like, man, it just feels right to keep each stage in its own way, whether it be pencils, inks, and then finally in color, because anytime that there's a thing that you would like to work with again, you want to be able to come at it with a fresh state.
Yeah, that's. I really think getting the pencils down is really important, just because once you got the pencils down and everything, you make copies from there. You can navigate and pivot in so many different directions. It's
Absolutely.
not like digital, to where you can rectify it on the spot. But if you have copies and if you keep every form kind of isolated, you're like, all right, last minute change, I want to do this. Last minute change, I want to do this. Or, oh, I messed up, I want to do this. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. In my first project, Everlasting Survivors, there aren't any longer, but there were at times the story didn't play out the precise way it currently is, because things that are now at the beginning used to be at the end, and vice versa. But again, that's the beauty of the collaborative process, and how that throughout it you can figure out the correct. Oh, okay, so this was the original intent of the original vision, but then as you're going through it all. Actually, hold one of those up. When you when you go through the script, you're like, oh, this is the way I have it envisioned. But then once you move on past the it's all happening in my head part, then you get to a new place and you're like, oh, wait a second, I actually missed a thing. And so yeah, I just think that it's the smart call to, like you said, be able to. Oh my, dude, these are spectacular in. Yeah, every page of that we have here, you did awesome. I'm very excited. So
Actually,
I didn't go ahead. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I increased it by a page and a half around that, just for pacing reasons. It added not that much time just because I knew what I wanted to do, but that kind of plays off what you were saying earlier. Like, I found something to where I knew I could do it. I had the resources. Let's just pad this fight out a bit longer, just because, also in my opinion, it's the most physical monster that he encounters so far.
Mm-hmm.
Has the most abilities that I can kind of
absolutely
outwardly showcase in a traditional, strong, aggressive manner.
Yes.
So I'm like, let this be the fight to showcase his cunning in battle.
Yes.
So then that way, every other fight, it can have some more brevity to it. You know, you kind of already know what he's about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. And again, that is the give and take, the back and forth, the just the collaborative effort of this version of storytelling. Because now, you know, in some cases, like my original artist for Everlasting Survivors, everything that he's done since, he's been both the writer and the artist and the inker and the yada yada. He could color too, he just chooses not to for speed more than anything, and preference, I guess. But yeah, so, you know, in the case where you're a one-man band, you know, obviously there's less play in the joints. But when more than one person is doing the thing, then, you know, you have to, or at least in my opinion, you have to be willing to, you know, work together.
Yeah.
I will say this. So if you thumb through Dom's origin story, you'll see that I do not give nearly as much. That's the wrong word. I don't come at it with as much play as I did with any other script, honestly. And it's because of how much of myself that I put, well, how much of myself I envision in Dom the character. Now, there are things about him that aren't me, and there's pieces of me that are in other characters too. But if you look, I've actually laid out every plan for every panel on every page in the entire 4 issue breakdown of the story, which in all the other versions of things that I've done, I was much more loose about how the story is being told on each page. Like, I give you a general idea and then allow you, or whomever, I mean, in this case you, to envision it from your own perspective. But
I mean, you are helpful with giving me key indicators, and I actually want to kind of showcase this. Nothing juicy, just, you know, face shots. But
that's funny.
This is a testament to how I'm not going in blind. There is a lot of structure to what you give me. You let me play with the dynamics and how it, you know, kind of paces itself and how it's laid out. But, you know, you give me plenty of directions. You give me plenty of ideas and things to play off of. And this is pretty much a testament to that.
I appreciate it, yeah.
And like I said, I didn't draw these. This is all him.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so Jeff, the Everlasting Survivors primary artist, he said from the first day, well, the second time we got together, the first day we met was at a convention, and he didn't see anything that I had. But the first time we got together, not at a con, I brought him 11 by 17 paper with facing forward, side profile, and I think even the back shot of all 3 of the heroes. And the second I rolled out the papers, he was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be paying me." And I was like, "Why?" I was like, "I brought money and everything." And he was like, "No, you should just do it yourself." I'm like, "Well, I tried that and I don't like it."
Yeah.
Because there's there's something to be said for having a vision, which I do. I have a vision that I can convey, but there's another thing when it comes to executing. And when it these pages that you brought that I cannot wait to get scanned in and sent, not sent, but given back to you, are a clear physical representation of how that this is, in my opinion, the right way to go, which is the working together way. Because I couldn't tell you the number of times I would get mad at myself, feeling as though what I was doing wasn't good enough. And if my mom was still around, she could tell you that I'd have stacks of just crumpled up papers of just, I don't know. I would always be too. I don't even know if it's too hard on myself. I would just say I would be hard on myself, and I don't know if it was the right amount or too much, but yeah, and like even my ex, she had this thing that she'd like to say when we were on our outs, which was, "You're a hopeless dreamer who will never accomplish anything." And in her defense, I didn't when I was a one-man band, and I wouldn't say that I'm successful now, but at least I can say that one vision has come to life, and I this is a clear indication that number 2 is well on its way. And so my I know this is not exactly what you would call the most noble thing to say, but one of my goals in life is to prove that statement wrong. I mean, obviously I wanted to succeed before it was said, but once it was said, it was like, well, let's just go ahead and make that that's an achievement to check off of making that not accurate.
Yeah, it wasn't her giving you this message that you would have never heard without her. It was just, it had to come eventually, and that's how the messages got.
Oh, for sure. And it's just it's funny because like I said, I'm not even mad about it. Everybody when they're upset says mean things. Like I don't know anybody who's upset and just says the kindest words that have ever come out of your mouth.
Yeah,
so like
fiddlesticks, man.
Exactly. So like I said, I'm not even mad about it, but I am, like I said, I'm so excited for where we're at, and honestly, I'm also just very excited for where things are going. So I'm going to hand you all of these. We're going to wrap, but before we wrap, I'm going to say, so this is the last video for August, or the video that the last video released in August, but every Friday in September is the return of Re-September, where 2 years ago, so not last year, but the year prior, I reset how I present myself to the channel. I just bared it all out. I said, here's how I got my love for wrestling, here's where I got in wrestling, and wrestling is why, and my bad experience with it, is why that I started getting into writing comics, because it was a place where people couldn't really say, hey kid, I'll get you next time. It's also the reason why I never take up artists when they say, oh, just pay me when you can. And I'm like, no, don't draw until I can pay you, because like that I've lived the life before where I do the work and don't get paid for it. So, like I said, every Friday in September, the channel will be revealing new characters coming out from Gamble Comics. And so, the first Friday in September will be Brandon Robinson joining me on the channel to reveal, who is he? Oh, Grim Owl and Lady Reaper. So come back next week and, you gonna grab that one? Yeah, so
there you go.
As I jokingly call this, it is if Batman was married to the Punisher. I'll explain that in a second, off camera. But yeah, thank you so much for this. We're this close to being able to put the book up for sale, because, once the pencils are done, inks will be faster, the color will be great. Very exciting. Thank you very much.
Of course, man, of course.